is Lynette Marrero, and I am one of the co-founders of SpeedRack. SpeedRack is an all-women's organization that is dedicated to raising funds for breast cancer research, education, while also raising the profile of women in America and globally in the hospitality industry. We have been a proud partner of Share for many years, and we welcome you all tonight for a little bit of a mocktail or cocktail hour. So when making cocktails that don't have alcohol in them, there's just a little bit of thinking about the balance of making your drinks. So I like to use some products that have a little bit of structure to them, some things that have some body, some flavors and aroma. So I'm actually going to use Seedlip. This is their Spice 94, is my base, my drink. It's kind of like a distilled gin, but without alcohol. So you get kind of beautiful aromas and flavors. We use this at our restaurant in Llama Inn, which I am the beverage director of, and this is our dry January cocktail called Talk to Her. So I'm going to go ahead and put 1.5 ounces of our Seedlip in our shaker. Then I'm going to put 1 ounce of brewed hibiscus tea and 1 ounce of pomegranate juice, which I have already mixed mine together with my pomegranate juice. So I'm going to put 2 ounces of this. And then we're going to add 3/4 ounces of fresh pineapple juice or pineapple juice if you have it. If you don't, you can also take some pineapple cubes or some canned pineapple and use that. And we are going to then shake this up. So I'm going to add a little bit of ice to my shaker here. Shake, not too much because the Seedlip has, some water content to it, so you don't need as much shaking. Just nice chill it. I'm gonna strain this over our glass here. I'm using like a nice big bulbous wine glass. You can use a rocks glass or anything. And then I'm going to garnish it. You can use fresh apples, frozen grapes, anything I might have. Just kind of like a sangria variation. Just want to be playful with it. Put some apples in there, and then cheers. Here's to the Talk to Her. Cheers to the Share Gala tonight.
Thank you for joining Share's A Second Helping of Life Virtual Gala. Please welcome our hosts, Executive Director and CEO, Carol Evans, and Chief Diversity Officer and Director of Public Outreach, Ivis Sampaio.
Welcome, everyone.
Thank you for being here tonight.
It's great to be with you at our virtual gala. We have an exciting experience for you with honorees, celebrities, chef demonstrations, stories of Share, our fun Click the Box challenge, and our luxury raffle drawing. We want to say our first thank yous of many to our corporate sponsors, table sponsors, and ticket buyers. Your support means so much to Share.
Carol, I'm so delighted to share the stage with you tonight on behalf of Share. This is your first Share Gala, but it's my 17th.
Wow, that reminds me of a song from my childhood. Make new friends, but keep the old. One is silver and the other's gold.
Maybe our audience could welcome new and old friends to the chat feature on the side of your screen.
Oh, great idea, Ivis. Let's give a shout out on the chat to someone you know who is celebrating with us tonight. I'm going to shout out to Jan Smith of Boulder, Colorado. She's been my best friend since 7th grade, and she's been free of lobular breast cancer for 13 years.
Carol, I'm shouting out to all our wonderful volunteers that are here with us tonight. They help so many women in so many ways.
Ivis, what part of Share's legacy is most important to you?
Well, I'm most proud of all the diverse communities Share has been able to support over the years. And I can't even believe it's the 25th anniversary of Share's ovarian program. In honor of this anniversary, we just published Persist, our novella about 3 women with ovarian cancer symptoms who find their own ways to persist and be diagnosed with this difficult disease. What are you most proud of, Carol?
Well, I am super proud about something brand new. On July 17th, we launched our brand new uterine endometrial cancer program, complete with its own helpline, support groups, newsletter, and webinars. Black women are 50% more likely to die from this cancer than white women. And this health disparity is at the core of our work with uterine endometrial cancer patients and their caregivers.
That's why Share's African American Ambassador Program is so important. For 10 years, Share ambassadors have been working in their communities to share the signs, symptoms, and diagnostics of cancer to alert medically underserved women to the dangers of various cancers and the risk of being misdiagnosed.
And now, our ambassadors are bringing awareness about uterine endometrial cancers to their communities. That makes me especially proud to announce that our corporate champion honoree for 2020 is ASI. ASI has a passionate commitment to patient care that drives all of their efforts to discover and develop new therapies. They have conducted breakthrough research on endometrial carcinoma and provided the critical funding that we needed at Share to launch our brand new uterine endometrial cancer program. Let's watch this brief video about ASI. Accepting the award on behalf of ASI is Adriana Herrera, Senior Vice President of Commercial Oncology. Adriana is in charge of developing and implementing oncology strategy at ASI, where she works to bring together stakeholders to better serve patients. Adriana has an MBA from Columbia Business School in New York and a Master's of Public Health degree from the Mailman School of Public Health of Columbia. Adriana is not only a top executive at ASI, she's also the mother of 2 young daughters, Natalie and Allison, who are super proud of their mom tonight. Please give Adriana Herrera a warm Share welcome.
Good evening. I am so delighted to be joining you virtually tonight and honored to accept the 2020 Corporate Champion Award on behalf of ASI. We are incredibly proud to be among this group of advocates who are passionately fighting for a better future on behalf of women impacted by cancer. We have been proud to partner with Share for many years, and last July we had the honor and privilege of meeting Nefertari Moore, Share's Uterine and Endometrial Program Associate and Ambassador Coordinator. We were deeply touched by her journey with endometrial carcinoma, although we were very disheartened to hear that her concerns about her symptoms were initially dismissed. We were also inspired by how she has never let cancer stop her from living her happiest life, and how she is now pursuing her passion to help support women who have experienced this disease. Her passion inspired us to invite her to ASI to speak with our employees last year. Nefertari shared the story of her struggles with endometrial carcinoma. We had the opportunity to ask questions and were able to understand her feelings of confusion, frustration, anger, and the shame she felt from not having anyone to talk to who shared her experience. We decided to do research and found that there is very little educational information and virtually no support groups available to patients with endometrial carcinoma. We also learned that in rural and minority communities, there is even less access to information and to advocates. To address these unmet needs, ASI and Share have been working together to offer those underserved communities affected by uterine cancers, including endometrial carcinoma, with an opportunity to be heard, to be educated about the disease, and to be supported by each other. We have collaborated to expand the peer-to-peer advocacy network and to provide educational resources for women diagnosed with endometrial carcinoma. We also partnered with Share to develop a brochure available online and in print that provides information regarding all the endometrial carcinoma services Share provides. These include a dedicated helpline, support groups, patient education provided by leading experts, and community outreach in Black and Latino communities. Now in our second year, we continue to believe it is time to give women's cancers the attention they deserve. And we are proud to support Share to help expand their services in this underserved community. But to make a difference in the lives of those we aim to serve, we know our work cannot and does not stop there. It is our privilege and commitment to continue working tirelessly to better understand patient needs and to innovate potential solutions for them. Our treatment in women's cancer demonstrates our ongoing efforts towards that goal and another step forward for these patients. At ASI, we know that patients and their families are the driving force behind healthcare, and their perspectives matter. We believe in the simple principle that patients and their families come first, and we have a responsibility to listen to and learn from them. We call it our human healthcare mission. Our unique corporate philosophy inspires and motivates us to not only advance treatment, but to advance care by providing educational and practical resource solutions to patients, their families, and healthcare providers. On behalf of the ASI team members in the U.S. and around the world, we are proud and honored to support Share and stand as a willing partner in your effort to help those living with women's cancers. Thank you, and have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Adriana. Cher could not have started our uterine endometrial program without your partnership. Carol, I'm sure you want to introduce our next speaker.
Yes, I do. Thank you. In 1989, I moved to the suburbs of New York to start my family. Soon after, a new neighbor moved in and got the lead role in Kiss of the Spider Woman on Broadway. She got a rave review in the New York Times, and her Broadway, TV, movie, singing, fashion design career took off like a rocket. But to me, she's always been the working mom who lived across the street and chatted with me over the proverbial fence about our children. To introduce our first chef, I'm proud to welcome the one, the only, Vanessa Williams.
Thank you, Carol. It's been great to be your neighbor, and you know I'm always happy to support the causes you work so tirelessly on. Cher is all about women helping women through some of the roughest times of their lives. I admire that so much, and I want to give a shout out to Cher's African American ambassadors who bring critical information about cancer to communities of color in New York City and around the country. Thank you for the work you do. Melba Wilson opened her famous Harlem's hotspot, Melba's Restaurant, 16 years ago, and it quickly became nationally famous for dishes like fried chicken and waffles. You can try it yourself. Melba is open now for outdoor dining. Melba is also the president of the New York Hospitality Alliance and is a fearless champion for New York City restaurants that are struggling to stay afloat and keep their employees on the payroll during the COVID-19 pandemic. Her tireless work on behalf of restaurateurs and small business owners is making a huge difference. Melba has been a devoted chef at Cher's Second Helping of Life, and her country fried catfish has been a huge hit at the gala. For our first chef demonstration, Melba's going to show us how we can recreate her signature dish, Low Country Shrimp and Grits, at home. Let's meet Melba in her restaurant.
Hi, I'm Melba, the proud owner of Melba's Restaurant right here in Harlem. I am so excited to have you guys here in my kitchen, and what we're gonna do, I'm gonna share my famous recipe for one of my favorite dishes, which is Low Country Shrimp and Grits. Let's get busy. First, we're gonna make the grits. The important thing about grits is the mixture of water and half and half. Okay, your grits has got a patter and it's got to be cooked all the way so that it's not grainy. So we're going to get started. First, I'm going to take some water. We're going to bring the water and let it boil. Once that water gets boiling, I'm going to take 1 cup of grits and pour it into my hot water. The important thing about grits is you have to keep it stirred. If you don't stir your grits, it will definitely get lumpy. And my grandmother always said, Melba, don't serve me no lumpy grits. So I wouldn't serve lumpy grits to my grandmother. You know I'm definitely not gonna serve it to you. I'm gonna bring my pot up a little bit just so that I can bring it to a boil. And then I'm gonna turn it down and let it simmer. Before I do that, I'm gonna put a little salt and pepper. I use black pepper when I'm making shrimp and grits. Only for the color combination. I like to see a little speckle in my grits. Now, some people take the half and half or heavy cream and they pour it in immediately with the water. I like to let it sit a little bit, and I want the grits to absorb the water, and then I'm gonna add my leche in later. So you have to keep grits stirred. It's something that you have to be a little patient with when you're cooking. I love making grits, and even though it seems very, very simple, there's definitely an art to it. While we're waiting for my grits, I'm going to tell you about some great ingredients I have over here for my shrimp. So normally what I'll do is I buy my shrimp. In the restaurant we use U16, it's a great size shrimp, and we buy them with the shell on. We buy them with the shell on, and we personally devein them. What's great about shrimp is we keep the shells. The shells make for wonderful, wonderful stock. So we have shrimp here, we have thyme, which I love, and Cajun spices. Cajun spices are divine. We use it for anything that we want to really spice up the seasoning with. Bell peppers, green and red, a little olive oil, and butter. We're gonna garnish it with some scallions, okay? This is gonna take about 20 minutes to cook. But just when my water really starts boiling, I'm gonna turn it down, add a little bit of my leche, and I always keep a pot of hot water on the side. This is something my grandmother always did. So, you know, my grandmother made amazing grits. So my grandmother kept a pot of hot water on the side. My mother kept a pot of hot water on the side. So what do you think I'm gonna do? I keep a pot of hot water on the side too. Because once your grits start to thicken up, you're gonna wanna add a little bit of that hot water. Just pour it in a little bit at a time, just to keep your grits nice and moist. Okay, if you take a look in here, you can see my grits are starting to patter. Look at that, starting to bubble. I'm gonna add some half and half. Every summer, my brother, sister, and myself went down to South Carolina, which is where my family's from, and we spent every summer down there. For us city kids, it was an amazing opportunity to get out of the city, but also to work in my grandmother and my grandpa's garden. That's where we were able to pick corn, pick collard greens, okra, oh my God. And when you talk about farm to table, that's where the original farm to table came from. You know, pretty much everything we ate came from our gardens. And this was back in the 70s. So to be able to go to farmers markets here in Harlem and get fresh produce is like a dream. And it really transports me back to those wonderful times that I spent with my grandmother. And you have to have patience. You know, you kind of have to like love on your grits, which is something you should do whenever you cook anyway. My grandmother says, Melba, you can't eat the grits until they patter. What's patter? Patter is when you see the top of the grits just pop out, just little air bubbles, just popping out to say hi to you. So we're gonna wait for that to patter. But I gotta keep my good eye on it because again, we don't want lumpy grits, right? Right. This is such a simple but delicious dish. So, Cajun spices. It's a spice blend that I've pretty much blended myself. It's something that we use in a restaurant. You can find it in our cookbook. Red and green peppers, a little bit of canola oil. I can use canola oil. You can also use vegetable oil, and a couple of sprigs of thyme. 2 pounds of U16 shrimp, and okay, I saved a little butter because we want to get a little roux, a little juice going, and we're going to need some butter to thicken it up, okay? We let our oil get to about 300 degrees. Once that's ready, then I'm going to add my peppers. When I'm at home, sometimes I'll throw in a little garlic. I'll saute some red onions because I love red onions. Love, 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 love red onions. Our peppers are sauteing here. So while we're waiting for those to caramelize, we're gonna take these seasoning, the Cajun spices, and we are going to sprinkle it on our shrimp. And this is all we need in terms of seasoning. This is gonna be great on our shrimp. I wish there was smell-o-vision, oh my God. As my grandmother does say, Mel B, don't disturb the food. Let it work, let it do its own work. So we're gonna let it do its own work for a second there. I am always tasting as I'm cooking because if I need to adjust something, I can do so, okay? Those are some good grits. Those are some good grits. I love thyme, the flavor that it adds to your food, and a little really does go a long way. Here we go. And my pan is telling me that it is ready for my shrimp. So, we're caramelized there. We're gonna take our shrimp. We did leave a little bit of the shell on the tail, and the reason we do that is so that the shrimp don't just shrink. They don't just curl up, okay? Shrimp cook very, very quickly. You don't need a lot of time. So what we're gonna do is you only need to cook them for 2 minutes on each side, and then they're done. So this is really a quick dish that we're making here. Oh my God, it's smelling so great. You'll start to notice that after 2 minutes, the shrimp are going to, they're gonna start turning pink. And so that means that they're ready. There we go. And for all you at-home cooks and aspiring chefs, you got this one. I have a lot of faith in you. I don't know about you, but I'm getting hungry, and I can't wait to sit down and share this plate of Low Country shrimp and grits with you. Food plays a huge part in the revitalization of our communities because food doesn't discriminate. Food doesn't care how old you are, how young you are. It doesn't care about your religion. It doesn't care about your educational or financial background. Food doesn't care about your race. Food is a common denominator that binds us all. And it's a great way to experience culture and a wonderful way to experience people. The only thing you have to do is sit down, join us, and have a bite to eat. When you have shrimp and grits, you have got to have a little juice. So what are we gonna add to make the juice? You guessed it, a little bit of butter. Just a little bit, just a tad bit. There we go. Turn these, we had a couple more that can stay in the pan a little bit longer. So the ones that are cooked, I'm gonna move those over to the side. So now we're gonna begin to plate. I love cooking, but I really love plating. So we're gonna take our grits, put it right in the middle. Okay. And you see how it goes down? It's so yummy and delicious and very, very filling. There we go. And we have our shrimp. You see how beautiful our shrimp is? Beautiful juices. So we're gonna take some of our shrimp and we're just gonna put it right in the middle. Right there, right in the middle. Right down the middle. That's what we're gonna do. Right down the middle. And I wanna get some of that yummy, yummy, delicious au jus, that juice, and just take it and sprinkle right there. Melba's Low Country Shrimp and Grits. The common denominator is food. The other common denominator is share. We're here supporting women suffering with breast and ovarian cancer. We are our sisters. We are our sisters' keepers.
Thank you, Melba. The recipe for Melba's amazing Low Country shrimp and grits is posted on our website, sharecancersupport.org. And now, I'd like to give a warm welcome to Angelica Cantlin, President of the Board of Directors of SHARE, who will introduce our next honoree.
Thank you, Agnes. It's so meaningful for me to introduce our next honoree. As a two-time breast cancer survivor myself, I know that having a doctor who truly cares and listens to her patients is of the highest importance. Dr. Lisa Newman not only cares about her patients at Weill Cornell, she cares about breast cancer patients all over the world. Dr. Newman is an internationally renowned breast surgeon and researcher, chief of the section of breast surgery at New York Presbyterian Weill Cornell Medical Center and their centers in Queens and the Bronx. In addition to her clinical practice, Dr. Newman investigates how and why breast cancer risk and disease outcomes vary based on a patient's race and ethnicity. She is particularly interested in the genetics of aggressive breast tumors, including triple-negative breast cancer, which occurs with greater frequency among Black women. In 2006, she launched the International Center for the Study of Breast Cancer Subtypes to identify the genetic origins of triple-negative breast cancer and determine why it particularly affects women of African descent. With this research and her clinical practice, Dr. Newman is destined to help women, in particular women of color, battle breast cancer for generations to come. Please watch this video about her work at Cornell Medical Center.
Hello, my name is Dr. Lisa Newman. I'm Chief of Breast Surgery for Weill Cornell Medicine and Director of the Interdisciplinary Breast Program for the New York Presbyterian Hospital Network. It's also my great honor to serve as the founding medical director of the International Center for the Study of Breast Cancer Subtypes, an outreach and research program that aims to improve breast cancer outcomes through global collaborative efforts. Hearing a diagnosis of breast cancer for the first time can be an overwhelming experience, associated with fear regarding how the disease and its treatment will affect one's life and appearance. Thanks to wonderful advances in cancer researchers, most patients will be successfully treated and they'll continue to enjoy healthy, productive lives. But the treatment journey might involve complex imaging and biopsy procedures, as well as combinations of surgery, radiation, and sometimes chemotherapy. At Weill Cornell Medicine, we're proud to have a multidisciplinary team of breast cancer experts that will tailor these treatments to the individual needs and circumstances of each patient so that the best possible outcomes can be achieved with the least disruption of the patient's life. Every case is reviewed comprehensively in our tumor board meetings and all information shared with each patient, along with providing nutritional, psychosocial, genetic, and physical therapy support resources. Tragically, far too many patients face challenges in completing successful treatment for breast cancer because of socioeconomic constraints or transportation issues. We facilitate overcoming these access barriers by providing our multidisciplinary services throughout different New York Presbyterian Hospital sites in Brooklyn and Queens, as well as Manhattan. 2020 has been a time of unprecedented pain and heartbreak, which disproportionately affected our New York City community. I'm extremely proud of the amazing work that Weill Cornell Medicine and the New York Presbyterian Hospital Network contributed in getting our city through the tragedy of the pandemic. We led the way in addressing and then overcoming the pandemic surge. We were at the forefront when the time came to restore all full-scale medical practices, and we remain committed to ensuring that patients receive the highest quality breast cancer care while continuing to be leaders in keeping our population safe. We therefore respect social distancing measures in all of our clinic and hospital sites, and we offer video visits or teleconference consultations whenever appropriate. We also recognize that more research is necessary to eliminate the threat of breast cancer, and we therefore have a robust clinical, translational, and precision medicine research program.
Dr. Newman has been incredibly generous to share, giving her valuable time to educate our patients through webinars. I am so proud to say that she was recently elected to the SHARE Board of Directors. Please join me in welcoming the recipient of SHARE's 2020 Anne Grant Advocacy Leadership Award, Dr. Lisa Newman.
Today, it's my very great honor to accept SHARE's Anne Grant Advocacy Leadership Award. I'm also thrilled to be able to partner with SHARE on their many incredible outreach, education, and support programs serving our diverse New York City population. To the fabulous staff and team at SHARE, you have my deepest appreciation on behalf of myself and my patients.
Thank you, Dr. Newman, for everything you do for women like myself who have had breast cancer. And thank you for everything you do for SHARE. What a great way to launch our Click the Box challenge. Just click the box at the top of your screen to donate at any level.
And to help you open your hearts and your purses, please enjoy this video about SHARE.
I've been Something beautiful beyond my reach and made of gold, it was calling me, but I just stare and wonder.
Supporting the women of Share and Latina Share is something very meaningful to me. We're there for our community, for our members, no matter what. Despite the pandemic, despite the challenges of the world, we've been there for our community members. It definitely is inspiring to me, and it's definitely a passion that grows with each experience.
This year, I think our work took on a new tone. Many of our callers and the people we serve had a double whammy, a cancer diagnosis in the middle of a pandemic. So being able to touch base with us, I think, was particularly important, guiding people through weeks of uncertainty, even more uncertainty than a cancer diagnosis usually brings.
I was diagnosed with breast cancer 19 years ago, and later on I started leading a group of Japanese ladies with breast cancer. Not only Share gave us a place to gather and talk in Japanese language, we can share our culture background. I wish to become a person who can hold a space for those women. They can nurture themselves as Share does.
The light of day brought me to my senses. I still stare and wonder, and I still stare and wonder.
We do something differently than other organizations do. We reach out to the community, and we're actually out there in the community. I go out to the senior citizen homes and give them talks about breast, ovarian, and uterine cancer, and let them know that give them information about what information Share has for them. So therefore, they're glad to know that somebody's out there, and they feel empowered by that.
As we grew up and we came down, we took the longest route right round, justify ourselves each day. Saw the light and then walked away, and I could taste it in the air. Seems a motive, but did I care?
When I was first diagnosed with ovarian cancer, someone put me in touch with the Share volunteer. All of the volunteers are so knowledgeable. As a survivor, we have like a PhD in our cancer, and so we're coming from it with all of the knowledge of what we've learned along the way. And I just want to give back to all of the women because I feel like it's a gift that I'm still here, and I want to just pay it forward to them and let them know that there is hope for them as well to be a survivor.
I still stare and wonder at the world below. I still stare and wonder. I just stare and wonder.
Ivis, wasn't that video true to who we are at Share?
Absolutely. It really captured the heart of what we do at Share. Now, we need your donations to support our important work at this critical time. Welcome to our Click the Box Challenge. If you're in full screen, press the Escape key. Now, find the box next to our Share logo at the top of your screen. Click the box to make your donation.
Hey, look, Marsha Pearson just donated $1,500 to Share's Click the Box Challenge.
Oh, look, our board member, Lori Markets, just donated $500. Thank you so much, Lori.
Ivis, what do you think is the most important thing that we're going to use the Click the Box donations for?
Carol, last November, we celebrated Latina Share's 25th anniversary. Our Latina program was the first to provide support services to the Spanish language community. Each $2,500 donation pays to train 5 ambassadors on new ways to educate their communities during the pandemic about signs and symptoms of cancer. What about you, Carol?
I'm so proud of how Share pivoted the support groups from in-person to Zoom, WhatsApp, and telephone. A pledge of $1,000 pays for critical technology upgrades to empower us to deliver all of our services virtually in this crisis. We haven't missed a support group yet. And Share's metastatic breast cancer team and volunteers just launched our first podcast called Our MBC Life. A donation of $750 will help pay for one of the 39 podcasts we are producing this year. Oh, look, there's more donations coming in. Thank you to Barbara Bella for your donation of $50.
And my best friends, Anna and Ron Warnick, just donated $100.
Wow.
For the first time this year, we are giving direct grants to cancer patients in need. A $500 pledge will help one of our cancer patients pay for their rent, food, medical bills, or safe transportation to appointments. The stories of need are heartbreaking. COVID and cancer are a terrible combination.
From $25 to $2,500, every penny helps the helplines. Share has helplines in English, Spanish, and Japanese. We have specialized helplines for early breast cancer and Mets Talk for metastatic breast cancer. In this pandemic, our helpline calls are lasting twice as long as usual as our volunteers help patients deal with missed appointments, canceled clinical trials, treatment delays, and isolation.
Thank you, Jan Smith, for your donation. And I see another donation of $100. And thank you, Dave McDonald, for your donation.
Wow, this is amazing.
You have no idea how much your donations mean to women struggling with cancer. And now, please give a warm welcome back to Vanessa Williams, who is going to introduce our next chef.
Thank you, Ibis. There's a historic area in New York City called St. Mark's Place, where you can find a relaxing restaurant reminiscent of a seaside cucina run by a brilliant chef, Barb Sibley, who came to this country from Mexico when she was only 19, makes everyone happy at La Palapa Cocina Mexicana, with her unique interpretation of Mexican gastronomy, culture, and friendship. Barb has always given back to the people of New York City. She fed the firefighters and first responders in the days after 9/11. She made sure her neighborhood had food to eat after Hurricane Sandy. And during the darkest days of COVID-19 quarantine, Barb made 3,000 meals a week for essential workers at the city's public hospitals. Barb uses her talents to comfort and nourish the people of her adopted city. Barb has also given back through Share. For a decade, she has been delighting our guests with brisket tacos and chalupas at the Second Helping of Life Gala, and she served as executive chef of the gala for the past 2 years. Barb especially appreciates Latina Share and the year-round programs for monolingual women that Share launched 25 years ago. Tonight, Barbara will teach us the secret to making tamales and salsa. Let's meet her in her restaurant.
Welcome to La Palapa. I'm Chef Barbara Sibley. This is my daughter, Ariel. And we're here to welcome you to La Palapa for the Share benefit. We're so honored to be here and to have you here. So La Palapa's been open for about 20 years. I'm originally from Mexico City. So I'm going to teach you today how to make tamales, because for one thing, it's food that's very women-centered. Usually women get together and make a whole lot of tamales for a party, but it's also easy. It's also, I'm going to teach you in a way that you can actually make it at home. And it's delicious. It's also very healthy. There's a lot of really good nutrition in it. So anyway, welcome to La Palapa, and let's get cooking. So these are whole kernels of dry corn that have been soaked in lime overnight, calcium carbonate. It unlocks the folate and unlocks the calcium in the corn. Folate is so important for women's health. So that's why we're making tamales today. So Ariel, can I have 2 tablespoons of baking powder? Yep, just pop it in. Sure. We're going to mix it up. Yep, it's fine. And then we're going to do a tablespoon and a half of salt. Go for it. Now, the salting really will depend on the fillings, because if you have a well-salted salsa, you don't want your corn flour to be too salty. And now I'm going to add about 1.5 cups of vegetable shortening. Traditionally, you could use lard. Some even sweet tamales use butter. So it's really any kind of shortening. This is about 1.5 cups. This is Crisco. It's it's very simple vegetable shortening, and it's going to melt down, and then we're going to add water to it, and we're going to start to bring together our masa. So I'm going to turn my fire up a little bit. We're going to make a cooked tamale masa, which is great because it's so much more consistent. I'm showing you a recipe that's also very traditional, but that's easier. I'm integrating the shortening. It'll melt and it'll start to go in. I mean, it's not something that you need to do in a mixer, for example. I'm going to add about 2 cups of water, and I might add more later. Now, the difference with this and say like a dough that's made from a dry corn flour is a little bit less water, because I already have a little water in the corn kernels when I ground it this morning. You can see the shortening is melting now. So I'm going to whisk it a little bit. So I'm gonna use a little bit of a whisk here. So this is a good vegetarian option using the vegetable shortening. I don't really always equate health with low calories or so on and so forth. To me, really, health is about balance. I'm gonna add a little more water. I'm doing it. Do you want to try to stir it and see how that feels? So this is Ariel's learning how to make tamales with us today. Usually, Ariel, we're like making like 1,000 tacos an hour, right? Usually it's insane. You're the best sous chef, because you're always telling me, Ariel always tells me if I missed something. Like you're like, oh my gosh, Mom, you forgot the salsa on the taco. You're really, really good at that. Now, one thing with using corn that's nixtamal as opposed to the flour is that it's different every time. So what it absorbs is a little different every time because of the humidity and the weather. So you can see when I lift up from the bottom of the pan, it's almost like a little bit of crust. It's a little bit shiny, and so that tells me that it's really getting cooked, and it's getting there. It's delicious. It smells good, right? Oops, I just dropped some out. So it tastes really good too. We're gonna have to taste a little piece just for fun. And it's smelling really good. You can taste it for salting. Do you want to taste a little piece? Good, right? Now, I feel like it could use a little salt, right? Just a little speck. As I say, the salsas will be salted, so you don't want the dough to be too salty, because otherwise the balance will be off. But we just tasted it and it needs a little salt. So see, it's like a thick peanut butter as opposed to like a big lump. It's a little bit thinner. So if you think about spreading peanut butter thickly on a piece of bread, that's about the consistency that we're going for. This recipe is enough for anywhere from 24 to 30 tamales, maybe more. It only takes about a tablespoon. Really depends. I'll show you when we wrap, you'll see that it's really depends on the size tamal you want to make. I mean, they make tamales that are the size of your arm. You can make a giant package. We're going to make some out of banana leaves. We're going to make some out of dried corn husks, and we're going to make some out of fresh corn husks as well. You want to see how heavy it is now? Take a look. Feel that. It's heavy, right? Great. All right. I think we're ready for the next step. So here we have our dough, which is ready, and then we have our leaves that we're going to use to wrap. The basic one is always like the dry corn husk. These I put them in warm water for about 10-15 minutes. So the idea is to take it with the point away from you, and it feels almost like it's your own hand, right? And then a smear of dough, a smear of masa, a bit of filling of your choice. So Ariel has chosen the guajillo rojo there. Maybe a little bit on top. And then you'll take the two sides, put one in then one on top, quite tight. You can form it in your hand a little bit if you feel like you want it a little tighter or a little different shape. Then fold the point towards you. It's fine if it drips, just to go get over the pan here. That's it. Leave the top open. So the reason that we leave the top open is because of the baking powder. The dough will expand. So this gives it a place to expand up to. And then we're going to put it in. This is our steamer. So we're making a steamer out of a hotel pan, which has holes on the bottom. I'm going to be putting water in the bottom of the pan so it'll steam. So then another thing that we can do that's very typical then are the tamales the oaxaqueños. So like a tamal oaxaqueño is usually a banana leaf, same thing. Smear of dough of the masa. And I'm going to do one out of with the plantains and mole. And this time, what we're going to do is we're going to make a little packet. Like a little square rectangular packet. This is very typical of tamales oaxaqueños. Make a very flat little package. Sometimes we're using a strip of the plantain leaf, banana leaf. We will tie a little package. In Mexico, they really say, like, how you feel really translates into the food that you cook, right? So it's an incredible feeling to be able to make people happy. And share really from the beginning, the fact that they had an incredible event highlighting these amazing women chefs. It's a room full of just inspiration and brilliance and giving and generosity that Share will also promote and help support and highlight women in all different walks of life. It also speaks to their mission because, cancer doesn't discriminate, right? So cancer can happen to anyone. And so the fact that Share just has this strong sense of mission, it's really inspirational to me, and it makes it such an honor to do anything I can, and to especially go to their amazing gala every year. So we're going to wrap it. So Ariel, you want to hand me the banana leaves? And we're going to use these to cover it. Tuck it in. And then we're going to tent it with oil. We're going to put these on the stove for about 25 to 30 minutes, just till they're really heated through, possibly a little bit longer. And then we'll be ready to have something delicious to eat. Some tamales oaxaqueños de salsa verde, rajas con queso, guajillo. And here we go. Let's put it on the stove. Okay, so these were on the stove for about half an hour. And you can smell the banana leaf and even the salsa. So I'm going to take them out very carefully. It's very hot. I think that what Share does really is empower. It empowers women to take an experience and turn it into something powerful and strong and positive. So it empowers women in many ways, I think, for self-advocacy, but also for advocating for other women. It's taking something that's happening and turning it into something positive. And I think that's really what Share does.
Thank you, Melba and Barbara, for representing the 27 top women chefs of New York City who have been donating their time, energy, and culinary brilliance to delight our Second Helping of Life attendees for 16 years. The restaurant industry has been rocked hard by this pandemic, and many chefs are struggling to keep their staff employed and their restaurants open. You can help all the chefs who have helped Share by enjoying the outdoor dining that is making New York City's streets feel alive again.
Carol, let me tell you a story. Recently, we took a helpline call from a young woman who had moved to New York from Haiti to work in a restaurant. She was shocked to get a diagnosis of breast cancer, especially since she was only 28. Then COVID-19 hit New York City, and this young woman, reeling from this surprise diagnosis, also lost her restaurant job, and then her housing, when her relative had to quarantine in the apartment she was sharing. Homeless, jobless, and with no insurance or family support, she turned to Share. Maria Estrella, co-director of Latina Share, and our responsive helpline team leapt into action on behalf of this young woman. Because of their actions, this young woman is now being cared for by some of the best doctors at Bellevue Hospital. She called her family in Haiti and said, "I have a new family here. It's the women of Share."
As we wrap up our Click the Box challenge for the night, I hope each and every one of you will click that box to help Share help women like that young woman in Ivis's story. Thank you, Dawn Smalls, for your donation of $500. And Jennifer Allen, thank you for your donation of $250.
Thank you, Dr. Spire, for your donation of $2,000.
You've been doing a great job at the Click the Box challenge, and now we want to give back to one lucky winner tonight. If you bought a ticket for the raffle, or if you bought a table or a ticket to the gala, your name has been entered for a chance to win our grand prize. Here's what our lucky winner will receive. First, a set of beautifully hued his and her luggage, including 2 carry-ons and 2 full-size pieces, donated by the fabulous Rome Luggage.
Also, his and her luxury watches from Citizen. Thank you, Rome and Citizen.
They will also receive a 2-hour Zoom consultation from Larry Laszlo, interior designer to the stars. Thank you, Larry.
And finally, a magnum of champagne to celebrate your home's new look. Carol, why don't you pick the winner?
Oh, I'd love to. Thanks. The winner of the gorgeous Rome Luggage, Citizen Watches, consultation with Larry Laszlo, and the Magnum of Champagne is
Linda Gerson. Congratulations. Our final segment of the night is our most important. Join us in our salute to the women of Share. We have a dedicated team of 200 volunteers, 30 ambassadors, and our amazing staff who give their time, energy, talent, and passion to Share. Most have had a diagnosis themselves of breast, ovarian, endometrial, or metastatic breast cancer and want to help others. Many have been helped by Share during their time of greatest need. Let us share the stories of the women you met in our video. Patricia Alcivar is our Latina Share coordinator who started at Share the day we all started working remotely. She is our resident translator and social media expert. Marjorie Schwartz is a long-standing member of our board of directors who also answers hundreds of helpline calls every year, devoting as much time as the caller needs and building a relationship with the caller that can last for years. Aiko Brody came to the US when her husband was transferred here from Japan. Then she was diagnosed with breast cancer. She realized there was no support system for Japanese-speaking women. So she turned to Share to help launch our Japanese helpline and support groups.
Rita Fortune joined our support group in Queens years ago and is now its co-facilitator. She is also our Queens Outreach Coordinator who recruits and supervises the ambassadors in her community. Michelle Collins is an ovarian cancer survivor who travels to corporate headquarters for our Pink and Teal program to share her story of misdiagnosis and then successful treatment of ovarian cancer. Like so many of the women at Share, Michelle came to us first as a newly diagnosed cancer patient and then became a dedicated volunteer.
Unfortunately, Carol, we sometimes lose volunteers or staff. In August, we lost Chiara D'Agostino, who was a volunteer and a metastatic patient who received our support. We helped her from her very first early diagnoses through her final chapter and honored her brave battle. We will fight even harder because of her impact on our organization. Our program manager, Victoria Rigo, wrote a poem and created this beautiful video in tribute to Kiara. Please join us in watching.
Kiara, bright light, words that defined your name, and you embraced them with a fierceness of a fire-blazing sky, entangled with fear and anger. You stood your ground at times alone, or so you thought. No stranger to tragedy, you fought foes hidden in shadows that few see. I saw you, your childlike curiosity mixed with diva, chasing dreams and fighting demons, chasing life with no apology. Your voice was loud. Kiara, you would not go gentle into that good night, for you, my friend, fought a fight filled with life and fear that only drove you further to speak your voice and share your truth. A flame burning in darkened halls, casting lights to those of us who felt lost when we heard the words you knew so well. Sleepless nights that carried you, haunted by demons so few know. I saw you, the you that so few see, and even in the tragedy, you stood your ground and fought bravely, beautifully, and boldly till the very end. Carried out on hurricane winds, the skies cried and brought you home, and here we remember you. Bright light, guiding light, shining in a loud, fierce storm that carries your spirit with the fierceness in which you fought for your life. So rest now, my friend, and know that in the end your fears did not win. You left this world surrounded by love. Darkened clouds passed to a bright, clear sky as your spirit soared into the heavens, and we are left here to carry on the fight in your name and in the names of those who fought and fight with you. We love you.
What a wonderful salute to the women of Share. It's been a truly inspiring evening together with all of our friends, supporters, ambassadors, volunteers, board members, celebrities, and chefs, all joining together to raise funds for Share. Let's raise our glasses to celebrate the joy, the mission, the work, and the people who are Share. Thank you, everyone, and we look forward to seeing you at next year's Second Helping of Life Gala.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you for helping us celebrate tonight. Good night, everyone.